What's up, everyone? Marc Lobliner, TigerFitness.com, CEO, MTS Nutrition, as well as an Exos trainer. Now, guys, in February, I elected to have a procedure known as a vasectomy. And a lot of guys on this channel, they have 2 or 3 kids. Our average age skews from 25 to 34. So after around 2 or 3 kids, sometimes you just want to call it quits. Now, the most effective form of birth control is actually the vasectomy. Vasectomy is a very, very efficient way of birth control, but a lot of people, when I go out and I joke about it, they don't really know what to expect from a vasectomy. So I wanted to actually use my experience with a vasectomy, going in knowing next to nothing about it, and to just explain what kind of goes on with a vasectomy. From point A to point B, now I've waited, it's now April, I've waited almost May, I've waited months because I wanted you to get a full report of what happens month to month to month after the vasectomy. So first thing you need to do is you got to make an appointment. Now, before you make an appointment with a doctor, you can find a good vasectomy doctor. Lucky for me, the doctor who actually performed my abdominal reconstruction, for those of you who don't know, I had to have 40 titanium screws as well as a Gore-Tex mesh put in just because I had some issues with my abdominal wall. Heavy lifting, bad genetics, whatever. So Dr. White, he's located in St. Charles, Illinois. I recommend him highly. He's who I used for my vasectomy. And so I already knew him. He'd already done a procedure on me. So I trusted in his ability to, operate on me and do this procedure. So you make the appointment. First thing you do is decide if you're done having children. Now, I believe they're legally required to interview you and make sure you are a candidate for vasectomy. Dr. White's question was simple. How many kids do you have? I said 3. Check. He said, normally if you have 3 kids, you know that you want a vasectomy. You're pretty convinced that, okay, I have enough children. And at that point, with 2 parents and 3 kids, you're not playing man-to-man defense. You're playing zone. Now, when you make that appointment, there's a lot of things that happen. I canceled 3 times before I went through with it. One is, as a man, one of the things men do is we procreate. We get women pregnant, and that's how our bloodlines have sustained for so long. Because you get women pregnant. Men can impregnate multiple women a day, whereas women get pregnant, and they have to wait literally 10 months before getting pregnant again. All right, because pregnancy does last around 10 months. That 9-month thing is kind of a farce. So think about it this way. For me, it was a bit hard for me to accept that I cannot have children anymore. So I had a mental block to doing that, which is why I canceled so much. And also, if your relationship, let's say you're in a relationship, and let's say you're not convinced that this is the one I'm going to be with forever. Let's say if that's your thing, do you want to limit your ability to start a new family? Because I've known many men who have gotten vasectomies and actually went and attempted, and sometimes they're successful, to get a vasectomy reversal, which I'll explain why it's a bit harder for me to do that than some vasectomy procedures, which have pretty much been outdated, but we'll go over that too. And also the fear of anything going near your testicles. You have a scalpel, and I'm going to explain to you the procedure and potential lighting your balls on fire that takes part. So for me, it was extreme. Even though my brother had a vasectomy, it was something that I was fearful of having it done to me. I'm not going to lie. It scared the living bejesus out of me, and honestly, it still does, even though I've already had it. Also, you want to look at, if you have a very stressful job, you're going to have to be off your feet for at least a week. Now, I'll go over the recovery in a little bit, but you have to figure you need about 7 days for full strenuous activity. So if you're a construction worker, you need 7 to 10 days minimum after that vasectomy to heal. And I'll explain to you the side effects why. So also, we looked at different things. Now, there's birth control options. Now, for a female, there are blood clotting issues when you're on the birth control pill. And Katie went to a doctor, looked into getting the birth control pill, and she said she's high risk. Her family history is high risk. And at her age, she would never recommend a birth control pill for her. So that was out of the realm. Also, we had something called an IUD. An IUD is something that delivers hormones straight into I believe the cervix. And what that does is it makes it so you're infertile, but it's directly administered right there. Now, there are risks to that, One is it can get caught there. It gets stuck. You have to get it surgically removed. There's a fishing wire. It's literally like a fishing wire that hangs out so they can remove it because you have to get it replaced, I believe, every few years. Just to go over our problems with that, we tried that after, I believe, Thomas and before we had Preston. Now, what happens is, I don't know how else to put this. For larger individuals, men who are more well-endowed, who have larger penises, or if you have a woman with a very shallow vagina, there's different things that go on down there. For the IUD, the reason we couldn't use it is that fishing wire is not like string. It's literally like a cord. It's like fishing wire. It's like twine. Not twine, but it's like hard wire. All right, that's how it felt at least. So if you're having intercourse, imagine someone poking the tip of your penis with a fishing wire. So after that happened a couple times, and it was almost like electric shock therapy for your penis. Let's just say that for my penis, the IUD was not the way to go. So we had no other option other than condoms. And let's be real, condoms fucking suck. So they just do. I recommend you young kids out there use condoms for protection. And if you have a vasectomy, if you're having random sex, if you're not with a committed partner in a relationship, I recommend using condoms. But let's be real here. If you're married, last thing you want to do is strap up because condoms are terrible. So anyway, so you go in for the day of surgery. So finally I sacked up, no pun intended. I went in for the surgery. The prep is to shave your balls. Being I'm a bodybuilder, my balls are clean shaven year round. I look like an overdeveloped 8-year-old down there. I was good to go. It's an outpatient procedure. From when you enter the room to when you leave, it's about 20 minutes. Now, I had a bilateral vasectomy. There are ways, and also I had the old school scalpel. You could do it without a scalpel. You could do it where they no cut. However, the scalpel, you know what? It's going to hurt anyway because they're going to be going in there and essentially, well, here's why it's more successful. I'll explain that. So the doctor goes over. So here's what happens. You go in there and the doctor, you see a tray lined up with instruments, okay? Scalpels, little scissor things, and a little blowtorch. I shit you not, a little blowtorch. I'll explain that later. So doctor goes in, you lay down, shirt is fine. You can have your shirt on and you're naked from the waist down. You have like a paper towel over your junk. Doctor moves it up, exposes your scrotum. After that, he started my right side. It's the worst pain I've ever felt in my life. And I've had knee surgeries, dislocated my shoulder twice. And I've also had abdominal surgery, which is a very major event. Grabs your balls tightly, very, very, very tightly. That's where he applies the local anesthetic. Now, before that, he withdrew into what I believe was an 18 gauge needle. And I thought that shit was going in my testicles. Good news, he unscrewed the 18 gauge, put on a 29 gauge insulin syringe. That's what I thought it was. I'm a bodybuilder. I know my needles, okay? So anyway, so it's literally, I believe it was around 2 to 3 cc's of liquid. Puts it right in what I believe is my testicle or my scrotum, that area, and injects it, okay? He injects the whole syringe. He says sometimes he uses half, but being that he already operated on me, he knows I have a high tolerance for anesthesia. He completely blunted everything. So you had not only you had the pressure of all those cc's of numbing liquid going into your testicle. So from there it hits. So your right side is numb. Scalpel cuts it open, and I'm sitting there, and you still feel some tugging and some stuff going on. Your stomach still hurts. So from there, he's working, and it's the longest time. I'm up there. I'm sweating bullets. We're talking about national health care. And the doctor actually did his residency in the UK, so he was telling me how they recommend vasectomies out there to keep population down. He's actually anti-national health care, which was cool because I'm a libertarian. I enjoyed talking to him, right? But it was still the worst moment of my life, right? So from there, I smelled something burning. I looked down, and there's smoke coming from my testicles. The smoke is, back in the day, they used to just tie off the ends. The advancements in what would happen is the body's miraculous in that they would fuse back together. And that's where vasectomies would be ineffective. That's where you'd end up having a vasectomy and still getting your girl pregnant. So what they do now is they cauterize the ends, which means after they cut it, they take off, vas deferens, they take that off, right? And they send that off for a sample. It's going to be about $210 extra to get that lab work done, check you for any cancers or anything going on down there. Just keep that in mind. So he cauterizes both ends, literally burns it, singes it, so they're not fusing back together. Okay, he gets done doing that. He's down there a little bit. I can't see shit because my chest's in my way and I don't want to see it anyway. Sews it back up. I thought I was done, right? He rolls the rolly chair around my feet, around the table, stops on the left side, exposes my left testicle. I said, Dr. White, what the fuck are you doing? And Dr. White says, you got two of them. That's a bilateral vasectomy. There is a way to do a singular. However, based on what I read and everything I know, and based on what I just wanted to get what my brother got. Hey, I got the same college major as my brother. I follow him doing everything. So Dr. White does a bilateral vasectomy, which means they do each individual testicle. So unfortunately, the numbing agent they put in the right side did not affect the left side at all. So all the pain I felt, someone kicking me in the stomach right here, all the pain I felt, exact same over again. It was like reliving a nightmare over again. Gets done with that side. We conclude, we talk about, make a couple funny, bad, really inappropriate jokes for the moment. The nurse is in there. She knows that we're just bros. And Dr. White, I don't know if you guys have ever bonded with a surgeon who's done an operation on you before, but at this point, we're old friends. Like, the guy's seen my inside of my stomach. He's seen my balls and my penis at this point. Like, we're close. Like, me and Dr. White, we're like dating, right? So, procedure's over. Everything's numb down there. They do both sides. We go to walk out the door. I always try, like, when Cammie was born, we had a doctor, Dr. Fenmore. If you look up on Google, him and his dad have done more for OBGYN than a lot of people as far as research and innovating stuff. And he was in California, you know, and I think it was Fontana. No, not Fontana. Why am I blanking on the name? Anyway, who's in the valley out by Sherman Oaks? So anyway, we got done with the first child. Doctor's sewing up. Katie tore a little bit. He goes, and I told him all along, I'm going to say something you've never heard before. He's like, dude, Mark, I've heard everything. I've been doing this for 20 years. I've heard everything. I say, hey, Doc, can you leave some stitches out? I need more space. Looks over. Yep, never heard that one before. I won. So we walk out, and I go, in front of the nurses and everything, in front of the front desk ladies, I go, you know, she's like, Katie's like, oh my God, how are you feeling? That took like no time. I'm like, all I know is it's numb. I could last forever right now. So anyway, that's the thing of that. So you go home, Katie drove. I could have driven myself, but I figured she's there, have her give me the ride. Now, the surgery, Dr. White does all his surgeries on Thursday. Because that way, Thursday afternoon, night, Friday morning, night, that's inactivity. You sit on, he tells you, sit on a recliner and fuck with the remote. I actually had my laptop out. I have pictures of it. I sent to my company. I worked the whole day. When the numbing starts wearing off, the main issue is urinating. Because when you pull your pants down, you got to get them over your balls. So every time I had to pee, I'd pull my pants down and it would graze the balls, and that was painful. Also, as a bodybuilder who has large quads, my quads rub together. In fact, I always have to wear compression shorts around the clock. I can never wear regular underwear because my thighs chafe. Now, put that with recently surgically repaired balls. Let's just say it wasn't comfortable walking. Now, Saturday I was able to resume some cardiovascular activity. Sunday, same thing. Monday, same thing. Tuesday, same thing. Wednesday, I flew out to Tampa. That was the first day I was allowed to do anything. And I filmed a collaboration training chest with IFBB Pro Cody Montgomery. Now, afterwards, you're recommended to get two things from the pharmacy. Antibiotic, you take 2 pills, that's it. One day one and one on day 2. That's it. It's a short antibiotic cycle because there's not much going on there. They also have pain pills, hydrocodone or whatever. I personally, the doctor didn't even prescribe them to me because my mom was a drug addict and he knows that I will not touch pain pills because I just don't want that in my life at all. I see what they can do and I don't want any part of it. I don't want to risk getting addiction. So no pain pills for the machine. So I went without pain pills. Would those have helped me the first few days, first 3 days? Absolutely. So I recommend if you're not someone who avoids painkillers. I didn't even take painkillers after my ab surgery. Dr. White promised me I'd take one. I still got the hydrocodone in my cupboard upstairs. I still do. I just don't take painkillers, but I recommend getting the painkillers, obviously antibiotic. You get that before the procedure. Now, post pain, how long? You're going to feel discomfort and pain for about 2 weeks, and it starts easing off after that. The main pain is from day 1 through 3 to 4. It says the first 2 days you don't want activity because if you overdo it the first 2 days, you get elephantitis, which means your balls swell to this size. So that's what you got to look at for that. You got to look at the fact that the first 2 days you do nothing. You're going to feel pain and discomfort for anywhere from 1 to 4 weeks. At least in my experience. Everybody, my balls are very sensitive. So everybody's experience will be different. At 6 weeks, you check your sperm count. Now, there are some things online that says it's between 14 to 20 ejaculates post-op. So you got to wear protection for the first 6 weeks. Or you have to bust 16 to 24 nuts in that time period. And then you go in and you give a sperm specimen. You either get a jar, bust a nut in there at home and take it to the doctor, keep it warm, keep it in your pocket. It's in a specimen jar. Or you go, what we did, went to the hospital. Katie came with me and we gave the sample there. Again, sex, you just have to realize you got to wait about 6 weeks. Now, 8 weeks for full recovery. I'd say about 2 months till you're fully recovered because the stitches, the dissolvable stitches for me, I actually had to cut one out. They just didn't dissolve as well. And the left, he cut on towards the crease in my thigh where the testicle hits the regular skin, where the scrotum hits the regular skin on my left. Right one healed fast because it was in the middle of my scrotum. The left one was more towards the side, so that took longer to heal and it caused a bit discomfort. I'd actually put coconut oil on it because it's natural antibiotic, and also because I like masturbating with, no, I'm kidding. And also because coconut oil is just good. It moisturized it, made it feel a little bit better. So that's it. Now I'm gonna go over the negatives of vasectomy. The negatives are the pain you feel for the first 4 to 8 weeks. That's it. I can't think of any other negatives if you don't want to have kids. Can't go much far beyond that. It's the only negatives are the pain. And the pain, is it worth it? I'd say yes. I wouldn't say that the first 8 weeks because I was mad that I did it and it hurt. But I'd say it's absolutely worth it. Number one, you don't have to use condoms if you're with someone you trust. You don't have to worry about STDs. You don't have to use condoms. And for lack of better terms, it's cream pie city. Have a good time. So the kids, very little. Side effects long term, really none. Your ejaculate's going to come out the same. Your money shots are going to be just as potent. There's no side effects. Now, I know a lot of you guys might have came here for a scientific discussion. This is my experience with it, so I'm just going to cut to the chase. Where I'm from, men use the words cream pie and busting nuts, and that's just how I talk. So I apologize if that's over your head. Side effects are very little. Effectiveness, it's the most effective form of birth control there is next to abstinence, and I believe a hysterectomy. So for what the man can do, the vasectomy is the best we got. So you have no condoms, very little side effects after the pain subsides in 4 to 8 weeks. And honestly, it's very, 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 very effective. So I'd recommend if you know you're done having kids, if you're 100% certain you're done having children, I highly recommend a vasectomy. If you're looking for someone, I recommend, if you're in the Midwest, I recommend Dr. White in St. Charles. Put Dr. White, St. Charles. He's a general surgeon. He's the best. He also handles hernias. He did my operation, which included hernias. He's the best I know because I've only had one vasectomy and one ab surgery, but I'm sure there's others. I wouldn't go for the deal. Now, you see these $199 vasectomy. You're dealing with your balls, guys. Don't mess with it. For me, my insurance did not cover the vasectomy. However, I prepaid it and they allowed me to use my credit card, so I also got Costco points. So the vasectomy, my cost was $600 to the doctor. And then there was a $200 something lab fee for the testing of my vas deferens for cancers and all that. And I believe we're out the door in less than $1,000. So that's that. Also, again, there's a lot of good benefits. Anyway, that's that. That's my experience of vasectomy. 20 minutes of detailed discussion. And that's it. So overall, highly recommend it if you're done having kids. And that's not a game. So I'm looking at my email this morning. I get a mass email from one of the other sites that sell supplements that you're just a number to, right? They were bragging that one supplement line was free shipping. Bro, if you order over $99 in product in the continental US, any day of the week, free shipping. Anywhere in the US, at continental USA. Free shipping on orders over $99 at tigerfitness.com. Why even look at the other guys? And also, we ship from Vegas and Ohio. Most places in the US are a 1 to 2 day ship. And that's not a game.